Good evening, and good evening, and welcome to day 3 of the Toronto International Film Festival. My name is Ravi Srinivasan. I'm a senior manager and Canadian programmer here at Tiff. It is my great pleasure to be introducing the world premiere screening of Sophie Jarvis's Until Branches Bend. I'd like to thank our major sponsors, Bell, RBC, and Bulgari, and Visa for their continued support. I want to thank the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto. This film plays part of our Discovery program, which is generously supported by Dyson. This film has been, no, it hasn't. Sophie Jarvis is a Vancouver-based writer-director. Her short films include The Worst Day Ever, which played here at the festival, Pennies for Tea, Homesick, Medical Drama, and Come to Your Senses. I'll be frank with you, when we saw this film, it was really a no-brainer decision. We love Sophie's visual style. We love how clever she plays with tone and mood. And then, of course, this film features one of the best Canadian actors working here, certainly my favorite Canadian actor, and a superstar, and that's Grace Glowicki. And I think the great thing about this collaboration between Grace and Sophie is you're going to see the kind of range. And Sophie was able to get that range out of Grace. And it's a beautiful performance and a beautiful film. And we're really just thrilled to have Sophie here. Please welcome Sophie Jarvis. I also just want to say, we want to thank Photon for providing us with the film.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful intro. Well, you all came. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I have a few thank yous to say first. This was a Swiss-Canadian co-production, so I'll start there. So we had thank you so much to Telefilm, to Photon, to Crave, to Creative BC, and to the Harold Greenberg Fund for making this film possible. And on the Swiss side, we had RSI, I won't try to pronounce it. Actually, I will. Radio Televisione Svizzera. And thank you. And the Swiss Federal Office of Culture. I feel a little emotional right now. My first ever short film was The Worst Day Ever, and it played here 10 years ago. And it's very special to be here with my first feature film, so I'm just thrilled. I feel like I've grown a lot since then, and I just can't wait to share it with everybody. And also, thank you to the friends and family and crew who are all here as well. It means so much. And to everyone, all the strangers too. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you. We'll see you after for a Q&A.
Thank you.
Please welcome back Sophie Jarvis.
Hi. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around. I'd love to bring everybody who was involved in the film up. Let's bring up our cast. We have Grace. We have Alexandra. We have Antoine. We have Helemia. We also have our producers here, Sarah and Magali and Olga. And I would love to bring up Kane Stewart, who is the editor, and also the bug guy at the gas station. And we have Kieran Jarvis, who is the composer. And Dexter Davey, who was our visual effects supervisor. Or on the film, yeah. I think I got that right. Am I forgetting anyone? If I am, please come up.
So I'll start off with a couple questions, then we'll throw it to the audience. This is, it's a unique and very specific kind of story, and I'm wondering if you can talk to us just, where it began and the genesis of it for you.
Yeah, well, the Okanagan is where we filmed this movie, and I grew up going up there. My grandparents lived there. My mom grew up, and so I spent a lot of time in this place, which is very beautiful. very idyllic, and I guess over the years I wondered what could go wrong there. So that's sort of where where this came up. We did a lot of research for this film. It started with an idea that was inspired by the codling moth, which is a moth that was pretty bad for apple trees in the Okanagan 15, 20 years ago. And I just thought there was something really interesting about a tiny little bug that could be such a big deal.
And could you maybe talk about your casting process with Grace and Alexandra and what that collaboration was like? And maybe also we could hear from Grace on why you decided to take on this role.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to move this way so everyone can get more on the... Casting was really fun. I mean, I saw Grace first in RAF a few years ago, which played here at the festival. And I just thought she was amazing, obviously. And so when we first spoke about the film, I was just so honored that you want to be part of it. And with casting, the rest of the roles were maybe a bit more traditional, where we were holding auditions and we, got to know actors through that. But I'm going to pass the mic down to the actors. Here, I'll give it to Grace first.
Oh, I have one. I don't know. I was sort of on board just hearing about bugs. I was like, okay, sounds cool. So yeah, had me at bugs.
Yeah, sure. I did traditional casting. I sent in a self-tape, and to be honest, I thought it wasn't a very good one. But yeah, and then I got callbacks, and I got to meet Grace and Sophie, and I think we kind of hit it off pretty quick. It was, I don't really remember it very well, but it was a pretty fun process getting to know them.
Go ahead. No, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, me? Oh, okay. What was my process like to getting cast? I don't know.
Just talk to us about, why you decided to work on the project and what attracted you to the story.
Okay, I'll try and say this very briefly, but what really inspired me by the whole project, specifically my little small part in it, is that you were so brilliant and smart about the character being Indigenous, but she didn't have to be. And it's very rare that I get an opportunity to play a role like that. And also you took a lot of care in still making it make sense. So you didn't just go, oh, you're just a person in a show. You made the Indigenous content make sense in the piece. And it just goes to show how smart this one is over here. I was very grateful for that.
We'll take a few questions from the audience. Yes, go ahead.
Were there any, it feels science fictional to me, this story. Were there any science fiction influences, or was that a part of the storytelling?
It's interesting to hear the different genres that people come up with, because I feel so close to this project that I have no idea. I would say there's a lot of films that I love that influenced me. The first one that pops in my mind when you say that is Safe. I love Safe. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's a bit of a psychological drama in my mind, and I think that there's definitely, it touches on bugs and swarms, so that definitely brings in a little bit of science for sure. I'm not a scientist, but I thought a swarm would look pretty cool.
Questions? Yes, go ahead.
I mean, I love it. Sure. I think the ending is up to the viewer's interpretation, and I think you did some interpreting there, and I'm all about it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff at play, and it's really interesting for me to hear what it brings up for people, and what people take from the experience of watching it. But yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sophie, there's so much lush textures and colors. The visual style here is just really a standout. I'm wondering if you can talk about your creative decision to shoot this on 16 millimeter.
Yeah, I love working on film. I think that there's a texture to 16, which to me just suited the environment, and it picks up a lot of the roughness of the landscape, but also the beauty so beautifully. And the colors as well. There's this pastel element to the world that I think 16 does really well. Our cinematographer, Jeremy Cox, he's not here tonight, but we've worked together on other films, and we did a short film on 16. And I think I was in love with it before, but now I'm very much in love with it. And I think that when you're shooting on film too, it brings a certain energy to set where it's so precious, right? And I think everyone, the crew and the cast and myself, sort of feels that, it feels there's a tangible quality. You can't really see what's going on in the monitor because it's so crummy, but everyone's just working together to try to to make it work, and it feels like it really centers performance on set. And afterwards, when you get the rushes back, it's just a total thrill. It's like opening a big present.
Yes, go ahead.
I was curious to know, there was one scene where the character grabbed his hand by the car. What was I can ask the characters, what was going through the mind of the character when she did that? Because for me, it felt kind of like, if suddenly she just reacted to that scene where she was really rough with her sister when she'd been growing carrying you for this entire time, and then she snapped in that moment. Like I couldn't really understand what the character was going through at that in that sense. So maybe the reaction of the sister, does she know what her sister was dealing with? So it's a question for both of you, I guess.
It was I think it was just that a snap when you feel like out of control, and then you project your shit onto someone else. And so I was making sense of it in this way. So I think it was a rational snap out of maybe feeling a loss of control. That's what it was for me.
I think Laney, she didn't really know what was going on with Robin at all at that point, and that was like really unusual for Robin because Robin's her caretaker and her like guardian. So I think that it was really surprising, and she hadn't really felt that from her sister ever. And she felt safe, like she realized right away that Robin didn't really know what she was doing. She felt safe enough to tell Fabian to like move on and leave them be, but she was just really surprised because it wasn't really something that was in Robin's nature previously to that moment.
Yeah, we'll go here in the front. Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the working title through most of the process was actually Invasions. And the reason it was called that is because I think there's a real thematic element to that word. Of course, there's the bug. There's a more personal one with the pregnancy. It's also the one about, it's farming and agriculture. It's taking place on unceded territory in BC, and that's a direct impact of colonization. So I think that there's a lot of different through lines that come through, both obvious and subtle. Invasions is a very science fiction-y title, and we found when we were getting closer in post that this film, again, if anyone knows what genre it is, please knock on my door and tell me. Because people who saw the title were hoping for something very sci-fi and were surprised when it wasn't. I think that part of our decision was, I think also it outgrew the name as we were working on the film. The feeling of the film came through a bit more. So we switched it to Until Branches Bend, which is actually poached from a lyric from a song that I loved, that I listened to a lot while I was, even writing the film years and years and years ago. Lucinda Williams' Fruits of My Labor. Fruits of My Labor was too obvious of a title, so we didn't go with that. But Until Branches Bend is part of the lyrics, and it always stuck with me. So.
Let's go to the back there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that originally it was supposed to be kind of like a country western kind of feeling, like a folk, lots of guitar, and then it just never worked. And then Soph chose the flute, and
It chose me.
And I also I was sort of listening to some Meredith Monk, and she had this piece called Dolman Music, and that was just pretty much all over the temp score, and it just worked so wonderfully. And so that was a pretty big trigger for us. And then I went sort of a different way from that, but yeah, we recorded it with pretty sparing instrumentalists, so 3 singers and a solo flute and a solo cello. And the cello sounds so big because Brian was doing work on 2 strings instead of just 1.
Thank you. The film also features 2 songs from a great Toronto artist, Simone Schmidt, and her band Fiverr. I'm wondering if you can talk about having Simone involved.
Yeah, Simone felt like a gift. When we were in post on the film, we of course had temporary music in there, and there's 2 spots in particular where we were just struggling to find the right piece, and we were also running. We were starting to wonder where can we find a fantastic song, and also from an artist who we'd love to celebrate and show in the film. And so I was chatting with some friends. My friend Sarah Wiley, who's also a great filmmaker, she recommended Simone because Simone had just done a beautiful score, but also had arranged a bunch of poetry from Sarah's film into songs for Sarah's film. And so I watched the film and I thought it was just incredible, and Simone just had this incredible way of working. And so I listened to all of her music and really fell in love. And Simone was very interested and enjoyed the film, so they agreed to do it.
Yeah, go ahead here in the front.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just the question was, how did thinking about the themes change during the pandemic and, sort of while you were developing and then shooting?
Oh, well, I can give a short answer, and if maybe the producers have some thoughts too. But I would say that I wrote the first draft of the script in 2016, which was a long time ago, and it's changed a lot since then. And we were actually supposed to film in the summer of 2020, but of course that plan got changed, and I had a whole year to witness what was going on in the world. And I'd say the script changed a little bit, but ultimately the story was still there, the themes were still there, and I like to think that maybe some of the stuff that comes out that might feel quite topical is actually based in maybe the underlying anxieties some of us might have been feeling leading up to that. And I definitely never, when the first draft came out, was before all of that and at a different time in the world as well. So it's been very strange and exciting and scary to see how some things play out over the years.
I think we have time for one last question. Go ahead.
Sophie, I was wondering, through your process from idea till tonight, was there any particularly proud or satisfying moment or favorite that you wish you could
Oh man, that's a hard question. There's so many. I'm just so grateful. I think that a film gets made because so many people have to believe in it and have to jump on board, and everyone who's standing here was a huge part of that. You know, from when we started out just with Magali and Sarah and Tyler and I talking about the project, to getting Olga and the Swiss Sinidoki on board, to casting. Every step has felt like a gift. If there was one moment to go back to, I think the time that to me felt the most I can't even decide, but I would say that going into Robin and Laney's house, just the week before we were filming, and having the chance to rehearse in that space and to get to know Grace and Allie better during that time, just being in the space without cameras and without people around, and just hearing the words come to life in a space was it was so surreal. This is surreal. But I would say that was when it felt like I was waking up again to what we were doing.
Sophie, on behalf of Tiff and Toronto and to the team, thank you so much for bringing this film to our audiences. Everybody, Sophie Jarvis, Until Branches Bend.